Episode 7 of the Edge podcast. This is the biggest one today. I'm so excited to have it. The guy we've got on, our guest, super special, huge in the sneaker Twitter industry, and someone that he didn't know until today, that I looked up to for such a long time. And we're going to get into it. If you're an OG in the sneakers Twitter space, you're going to know who this guy is. It's Ewan.
Hi, how you doing?
Pleasure. Glad to have you on, mate.
Thank you. First ever podcast, so.
And honestly, like, when we got this secured, like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, it was surreal for me, like, having you on. And especially being your first podcast, like, I think it's going to bring, like, I think it's going to be, like, extremely valuable, especially to everyone in the sneaker Twitter space, because we're going to talk about everything, like, even all the highs and lows, and sort of provide the insight that people don't really see on sneaker Twitter. Everyone's behind a keyboard at the end of the day. They don't normally see the person actually sharing their experience. And I think if we can do that today, it's going to be really, really valuable. So let's get started. So who is Ewan?
You know what? I'm actually not sure what the answer is to the question. I'm just a software developer. I like making things, like building things. I like making things happen. And I just so happened by accident to become a developer that just made a sneaker bot. You know.
So how did you get into sneakers though?
I was on a Reddit thread and someone was like, I think it was like all men's fashion.
Yeah.
And I was just there and in the comments, someone was like, Yeezys don't actually cost $1,000. They cost like, $220 USD.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? So I clicked this link. I got on this Twitter of a Soul Master, who I think is the father of 99% of the people that we
for sure
see live and breathe in the industry today. And I just like looked at this piece of software, and I've been writing software since about 12. Like I was making like Minecraft mods for myself, like adding like weapons to the game and stuff. I think I was like cheating on Club Penguin too, like getting coin generations. Like that's what you did when you were like 13. And it really just kind of stemmed from there. And he had this Python script out, and I just read it, and I was like, well, this is like not. He intentionally made it so you could only ever buy one pair.
Yep.
And I was like, well, no, I need to buy 10. So I need to be able to do so much more than this. So I just looked at it and rewrote it and reworked it so that it got like multiple at a time. I learned about like threads, so you could have like, five running instances of the script at once to doing all the same operations. And I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then after that, people started DMing me because I was talking about this on like Discord and Twitter, and everyone was like, I'll buy this off you for $60, $100. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like I came from like nothing. I had like no money, nothing. Like I grew up in a council house, like 3-bedroom council house, tiny on this estate. And I thought I hit the jackpot. Like I made like $2,000, and I really thought like my life was going to change. I'd never seen this amount of money ever. I didn't know you could make this amount of money. I like looked up to my dad, who had like a very just normal working class British job.
Yep.
And I was like, well, that's the same amount of my money my dad's probably going to take home this month.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's really where it began.
So getting into like, so you started there obviously. Did you have any exposure to like sneakers, like streetwear, like any sort of that culture beforehand?
Absolutely zero.
So for you, was it the financial incentive to get into it?
Well, no, I guess you could say I was interested in fashion. Around like age 16 is where I really started to like sort of like start taking care of my appearance. Getting exposure to like meeting up with like girls and stuff like that, right? Yeah. Just looking in the mirror, being like, oh, I don't want to look like trash. I had like no money, no clothes and nothing. So I was really just trying to work out ways that you could get like cheap basics to dress well. And then through that, like Kanye was like so big at the time. And one of the most iconic pictures is the Kanye in the ASSC hoodie and the Hader Ackerman jacket with these ripped jeans, but I think with a pair of like 950s on. It's like probably the most iconic picture of Kanye for me. And I was like, I want to look like that. And then research, and then Kanye was like all over Reddit and all these platforms and stuff. And that's how I guess I got into fashion. I knew Yeezys existed, but I just thought Yeezys were just this like unobtainable thing that existed that only like the super rich had access to because it cost like £1,000. And then I later learned,
And that's how it was for probably 95% of the population in the UK, especially in the UK. So you did the script. I remember so we were talking earlier, One Stop Corp. We've got a mutual friend from One Stop Corp.
Shout out to Luca.
Shout out to Luca. Yeah. Ex-Sonoro. And so I remember when like the Soul Matter script came out, like everyone who was already in the cut group space like hated on it so bad. But because it like sort of like the methods beforehand were sort of gatekept a little bit more, Soul Matter wanted to bring it more public, and then you took it a step further. How did you, like, obviously doing like your multi-threading, how did you then get onto developing like your bot and like what you've done? Because I'm guessing some people are going to know the bot that you developed, but let's get into the background of that.
Yeah, I guess so. The bot I developed was Splashforce.
Splashforce. So anyone who's watching Splashforce, like I had another Nike bot first, and then Splashforce I managed to get, we talked about this earlier, Anthony, the Sneaker Bible. So through One Stop Corp, he got me into One Stop Corp, and then he also, when Splashforce like was first being developed, like I think he offered me a key at like half price, something like that.
I was selling like 10 copies, which was at the time was considered like bulk, to Anthony in the DMs.
Yeah.
This is when it was like less than like 100 people using the app, and Anthony was like, oh, like I'll buy like a few off you. I mean, Anthony talked because Anthony had like 20,000 followers at the time, which was like fucking ridiculous, right? Because no one had more than Anthony. Which was
he educated a massive amount of people in that space.
Yeah.
We all started. So my very first purchase in the sneaker Twitter space was the Sneaker Bible. And that came because I've talked about it on podcast before, but like for reference with you, my girlfriend at the time wanted Yeezys, and she was like, right, get in the queue. I was working at a gym at the time, loaded up the splash page on the queue, Pirate Blacks it was, original release, got through real quickly, and then seen how much money I can make, and I was like, fucking hell, like there's got to be something deeper to this. Like how do I monetize this and make more? Stumbled upon Sneaker Twitter accidentally, found Anthony, and I was like, right, bought the Sneaker Bible, shared it with like me and my friends, like all looked through it, and like we all literally just went from there. And then Anthony got us into One Stop Corp, and then Anthony introduced me to Splashforce, and that was like my first major purchase. I remember like thinking, I even asked my boss at the time, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to spend this amount, like do you think it's worth it? And then got into it. Return on investment was absolutely insane on that bot for me. I made good money with it, but we'll take it back. So Splashforce, you are like at one point, like it was like the bot for Adidas, wasn't it? And then Yeezy Splash as well. Yeah.
So initially just started off being like, so when I moved on from just like selling this like public Python script and developing like a bot as you know it today to be, I really just, it kind of moved on from like that, and people just wanted to buy it. And I really was like, oh, I have an opportunity here of like to do something. So I had this script, and I like just had 6 months of just pure, like I sat in my bedroom every single night. I was up till 6 a.m. every single time, working with my partner at the time, Brian, to like really develop Splashforce, right? I'm not gonna lie, when it first came out, it was fucking garbage. Like it barely worked and stuff, but you know, the name came because it was a splash page brute forcer, and whatnot. And so I really just sort of, it just came through from that.
So you obviously you had Splashforce, and then how long did it take you like to actually reach a point of like where you was like, right, I've got some success here? Like how persistent did you have to be?
Day one. I knew because I was kicked out of sixth form, right? And I didn't have any opportunities. So I had my GCSEs were shit. My A levels, I didn't have any. I flunked my AS levels.
What did you do at A level?
Economics, biology, maths, and IT. The school didn't offer computing, so it was just like databases and bullshit, basically. So like I didn't have anything. So I was like, my dad was coming into my room because I was really like depressed at the time, and I didn't know what I was going to do to my life. I wanted to go to like Cambridge. I really wanted to like make something. I wanted to basically be an investment banker. You know, it's the only way I could imagine possibly being rich was finance.
It's the same way.
Finance. And so I just sat in my room. My dad walks in one day and he's like, go to Morrison's tomorrow and go get a job. I was just like, I can't. I refuse to do that. So as soon as I had made like this like $2,000 by selling modifications to Soulmaster's script, I was like, well, $2,000 was, well, you know, at the time like £1,500. I was like, well, that's enough money to like see me through for like a year. That's how big it seemed at the time. And so then I really just knew there and then that there was no plan B. Right. For me, like plan B was like death, right? Not to sound like too dramatic, but like it was like, it was all of this or nothing. So my brain was so wired in every single day, and the focus was there to really actually learn and understand software, like learning properly Python at the time. And really
was this all self-taught? Or did you have
everything.
Okay.
You know, just Google, Stack Overflow, Twitter, Reddit, like it's all just kind of came together, and like, and then I really just pushed forwards with that. And I'm so lucky and like privileged to be able to say that it became something. And I'm like so lucky that I found like this stupid Reddit thread that linked to Soulmaster, that linked to the Discord, that linked to Adidas ATC as the subreddit.
It's literally like that. It's like we've talked about it before. It's like the like ripple effect or like butterfly effect, whatever you want to call it, where that one small thing, like it's changed the game forever for you.
I mean, like look, I was in a 3-bedroom council house with like nothing. And like now I'm like, I've seen a lot of the world and stuff, and I've been able to do so many things and meet so many amazing people. Like even at one point I met Kanye West, which,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, right. And when I was like 16, and I just, these things just seem so impossible. So, and sneakers and that whole industry just opened my eyes to what the world actually is like. You know, I think you're so stuck growing up in the UK, for example, and you're just not aware of like the wider world and the opportunities. And I really was able just to leave the estate.
Because everyone's like, at the end of the day, like I feel like with the UK education system, you're just fast tracked into your normal 9 to 5. Like it's very hard to sort of break that. Like you mentioned earlier, like about the cars with Ferraris, and you said, well, how do I get to that level? And no one can give you an answer.
No one is ever be able to give you an answer. Just say, oh, you have to be a businessman. What does that mean? You know, no one can ever tell you the fucking answer. And it's just so, I think, ridiculous. Like how? No, I think it's so mind boggling. Like now I know, right? And like, you know, and everyone you know knows, right? And that's like knowledge that you hopefully get to like pass on to your kids so they don't have to like suffer with that problem. But you know, still today, so many people in this country just struggle with that. And it's something I actually feel like really passionate about, like bringing opportunities like working class kids and stuff. I think it's so meaningful. And just telling people the truth.
And inspiring them as well. Like for us, like a big thing with this podcast is we want to, anyone who's like got that side hustle or any sort of venture, not even reselling related, like anything that they want to sort of pursue, but maybe just they're not sure about taking the leap. Like we want to sort of push them and show them what's possible if you do take that leap from your 9 to 5. So going back to like Splashforce, when you started, how old was you when Splashforce was developed?
I guess 17 is when I started. I think it was November 2016 was the beginning, was the inception. That's when I first discovered Stoma, made the modifications script, sold them. And then I guess Splashforce came. I actually incorporated my company, I think January 1st, 2017. So I guess you could say that's like the birthday of the company. And
so how long was you running it for in total? How long did Splashforce exist for?
5 years, I think. Yeah, 5 years-ish. Maybe 5.5, if you want to call it that.
And when was it? When was like peak for you?
I guess peak was when Yeezy Supply changed from Shopify to Glass, which is the Adidas platform. And it was COVID, right? Everything was booming. You know, the last great release that we ever had was the Bread 350, which was, I think one of my proudest accomplishments I've ever done.
So why was that?
Everyone just was able to get so many pairs.
Do you have like, did you have logs on how many checkouts Splashforce secured?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't tell you, but I think it was something stupid, like 35,000 pairs.
Jesus Christ.
I think it was over half of the stock at that point in time. And I was able to develop, and no one could compete on that release. It was nice.
So how did you, like, for you, obviously there's a lot of competitors in the space. How did you sort of get that competitive advantage?
The thing about the sneaker industry, especially when botting, is an 18-hour a day, 7 days a week type of thing. You really have to live and breathe the whole thing. There's no more than that. It's just sneakers. You wake up, you look for exploits, you're learning, you're developing, you're talking to customers, you're getting feedback. What can you improve? Are there efficiencies that you could have? And it's just, and that's where you get the competitive edge. That's why every single bot, for example, has that one site, at least back in the day where they were so good, because that developer was so solely focused on that site. Because back in the earlier days, you only had to focus on one site and your customers could make thousands, you know, because there were so many sites available, unlike now. And so that was, I lived and breathed Adidas. And so did all of my friends in the industry at the time. Everyone just, and like, you know, you'd all talk, and when you only do one thing, you become an expert at it. And that's your bread and butter. And that's all how it all happened. You know, I was one with like Adidas at the time.
For sure. Makes sense. So when, like, obviously I feel like a lot of people in the sneaker space, like you just talked about like 18-hour days then and what you had to put in. I feel like a lot of people in the space, like it's been known to have like a toxic culture, and sort of like, what have you experienced and like, how did you deal with that?
I mean, I think it's the most toxic thing to ever exist, right? It's like, if you failed, your customers would have such a love-hate relationship with you. If you had absolutely slayed the previous drop, for example, and you were the best performing bot ever, and the next drop, for some reason, you flopped, whether that be a bug or a change or something, you come to whatever, right? You were getting death threats. You had so much hate on Twitter. There were riots in your chats. People were asking for refunds there and then because it didn't work. And it's a lot, and you can't even look away from it, because I think for every single bot that ever became great, there is an element of like, that's your child, and you can't just not look at the Discord.
Exactly.
There are periods where, like, after drop, where like you flopped, and you couldn't look at the Discord, but it rolled around to like 11 p.m. and like you have like it's compulsive. You open it and you read and you're like, this guy's a fucking scammer. This guy's a piece of shit. I spent like $1,000 in this drop and lost it all. But then you could be like, the previous drop, like he cooked like 10,000, 20,000 pairs.
This is something that I've noticed massively. Like I feel a lot of people have a really, really short-term mentality. Like for us, they might have made like £500 last month or whatever, but then if they don't make £100 this month, they'll cancel and be like, oh shit, it's not worth it now. Like, and it's the same, like, I think the same sort of system goes there where people just, if you're not on top all of the time, people they're not necessarily like sticky customers.
Yeah. It was a lot more toxic in the early days, I think, comparatively to now. People earlier felt so entitled to everything and they felt like you owed them something because they'd parted money with you. In the early days when bots went for under retailing group buys, for example, people would still just expect so much out of you every single day. It was two guys, me and Brian mainly focused on business aspect and like GUI development and a couple of other things. And I was really the core of the bot, like the actual like bot logic. And, you know, you just like, and you're just two guys and like, back in the day, you wouldn't even have many customers 500, but it was so demanding. Your customers demanded perfection. And I think I can understand why someone would demand perfection. You pay for a product and you expect it to work, but the industry is a cat and mouse game. You are at the mercy of the e-commerce developer. That e-commerce developer could change like some absolute bullshit 3 pages in on a request that you need to scrape for some validation. And you now have to go find that. And you have to understand, well, where is this coming from and all of this. But then if they update it 5 minutes before a drop, you've got essentially maybe about 10 minutes. For example, if there's a splash page release, maybe 30 if you're lucky. And it's just like semi-impossible, right? Over the years, I think for like all the bots now, and I think for me, I'm very good at finding those things, but it took so many years to be able to develop that skill set and that tool set to be able to do that, you know? So again, like you have people that start bots now, like now they're not going to have that. You can write a bot, but are you going to be able to update it in 5 minutes? Probably not. Then you're going to get this wave of hate, this wave of like disrespect, right? You know, I remember like people would on my Twitter DMs sending me like DMs of my address and be like, I'm coming to kill your family. like what the fuck? Like, you know, I understand that, you know, you maybe like lost money in the drop, but I think that's just sort of sneakers in general. But that was very much like the early days. I think as time progressed, the industry became a standard. Like people don't expect always to get 100 pairs. I think people now are just aiming for like 1 or 2 minimum and then build on top of that. In the early days, it was 100 or nothing.
So did that have an effect on you or not?
I remember in the early days, I was getting like 50, 100 DMs a day on Twitter.
And you were very young at this age as well.
I was like 18. I'd never had any sort of like, I was not popular at school or anything. Like, no one ever wanted to know me. And you're getting 100 DMs a day on Twitter and whatnot. And I felt obliged at the time to reply to every single one because that's just the way I think my brain was. If someone messaged you, reply. And it just got to built up into one day that like I had like, wouldn't call it a breakdown, but in a similar vein,
like a wobble.
And I just couldn't reply to anyone. I'm pretty much a shit texter now because of that moment. I can remember the exact moment when I was laying on my bed and I was like, I'm just fucking done. I turned my phone off and that was it. And the hate as well, it builds up over time, and I think it does for every developer in a certain way. When someone comments on your IG, like kill yourself, like you kind of just laugh at the time because why have you taken your time out of your day to comment kill yourself on my Instagram post? I'm kind of laughing because it's words on a screen. But when 100 people do that constantly, and every single instance you're still not bothered, it just builds up in the back of your head over the course of time, and it does affect you because you just wake up one day like why can't I get out of bed today? And you just feel shit, and you feel so disenfranchised from your like child, like your software. That's all you to do, and it just like makes it so much harder to like actively develop. But it comes with the highs and lows because the next drop you'll put the work into cook, and then you will, and you'll feel so much happier again. And it really plays with your head a lot, I think, for everyone. Especially in the early days, there was so much pressure. I remember when a release would come, especially the US release, where the majority of the customers would be shaking. Like back when I was still in my dad's bedroom, I was uncontrollably shaking at some points because you had worked for so long to be able to produce this thing. And there's a chance it wouldn't work. There's a chance it could update and just fuck you. Which was, in the early days, was quite the case because all they did was update the website and make changes. They tried heavy to stop botters and they weren't very reliant on like Akamai, for example, for bot protection. And so, it really was a roller coaster. And I don't think it's, in the early days, it certainly wasn't healthy. But at the same time, you were like, well, this is what I have to do to be able to make the money I'm making.
And there was no way like that you like, could have been prepared for that with your path to success. Like it happened so quickly, didn't it? That like there's nothing you could have done at that point. You were at the mercy of sneaker Twitter.
There was no guide, there was no manual. I mean, I think I invented what I like to dub it like the indie bot, right? So when I first started, you had like A and B and B and B and stuff, right? But and Soul Slayer, these were just very corporate beings. There was a Twitter account with some like shitty logo that like the owner definitely just made in like Photoshop in like 3 seconds. And you didn't know who owned this bot. There was no Discord. There was like a Zendesk ticket system, and someone might reply to a ticket if you were very lucky. And I think I very like the way that it works these days, and it has worked, I guess, since I did it, was you were the guy that made the bot. So you had your Twitter account, you had the bot's Twitter account, people, you were accountable at all times. And then you had the Discord, which I think was the first person to do that. So you could like directly communicate with your customers and get that feedback.
Feel that added pressure, like of you actually being accountable and feeling like that your personality of the brand was key. Yeah.
I said for so long that I was Splashforce, and I still am, right? But for so long I was Splashforce, you know, it was someone would meet you and be like, oh, you're Ewan from Splashforce. I wasn't Ewan anymore, right? And there was this level of accountability because I was the developer. I was the guy. I was the point of contact that everyone could. Everyone knew that if it failed because of me, and it didn't fail because of some mysterious entity that like A and B is, right? And you don't know who owns that.
Exactly.
It's like that, and it was difficult.
Yeah,
it was
for sure. So I remember so Splashforce, you sort of had like a resurgence of it at some point, didn't you?
Yeah.
So like what led you to the sort of like, because it quieted down, didn't it? And you sort of like, did you step away?
No, that was more market conditions. There was a period of time, I think around 2018. Yeah. About 2018. Drops just stopped.
Yeah.
They weren't really bringing anything out, Adidas especially, and I didn't really pivot to Shopify or Supreme or anything. I think I had a gander at but I wasn't too interested. And I was like, oh, this is over. And I was like ready to move on with my life. At this point, it'd been like 2.5 years. And my dad was always saying to me, like, this is probably just going to end at some point soon. So in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, maybe this is it. But everyone in Splashforce was very receptive to that at the time. Like, it wasn't like me stepping away. There was just nothing happening. The summer Q3, Q4 of that year was so dry. There was nothing happening. And then I discovered that Yeezy Supply was moving to Adidas and whatnot. And so I in back of my mind, I was like that and whatnot. And I remember I was sitting in New York and I was starting to really run out of money. And I needed to pay rent. I think Zeros especially will remember this story. And like, he was like, where the fuck's the money? I was like, give me a week. I rewrote SF3. I rewrote the entire of it in a week. Because I knew there was the drop coming out to support Yeezy Supply. And I wanted to be the first guy to be able to be like, I'm the guy for this. And that's what happened. Because and then that resurgence started that really peaked into COVID. So that was like that 3-year period where it went so high into the sky. And so like I never like stepped back or anything. It was just like, it was just over. Kind of like it is now.
Literally.
And you know, there's always the ambition that you're creating a tool in a toolbox to be able to help people make money. Like right now it's like, if you invest $1,000 in proxies, $500 in Gmails, and you're running 1,000 tasks, you might get 2 pairs. You're not making the money on that. There's nothing to be made. It's like you get 20 pairs. The margins are so thin, and you're basically saying, what's the fucking point? Especially in the US market right now.
For sure.
I think EU has recently stepped up a bit from what I've heard, and you can make money here. But you know, it's fun. It's like, what is the point of like me developing this software? And you become so disinterested because there's no money to be made, and entropy increases over time. Anti-bot companies, right? Like Akamai, Shape, Perimeter X. These are $1 billion companies with 20 or 30 developers who are probably best in class in what they know, actively making it their mission to stop you. I'm just a guy. And there's other guys in the community, and it just becomes so much more difficult, the time investment. And as margins decrease over time, as they are doing, it's just like, well, what's the point? You know, you're not making money from the software, so you're not going to use it. I'm going to make less money. I'd rather just like move on. And if it really like picks up again, I'm interested, because my philosophy was, you know, I could have made so much more money, you know, being a scumbag and lying to my users, saying if you run your cook. But like, I've always, I think, been sort of like deadly honest in saying that, like, you know, this is what's going to happen. This is how it works. Many times I'd be like, stocks 500 pairs. I was like, probably don't waste your money. I was like, your choice, but I'd be aware there's 500 pairs here. The likelihood that you're going to cop is quite minimal. There's like 5 of the bots on the market. They're running 10,000 tasks each as well as you. Just do the maths here. Comparatively to like a 100K release of Black Yeezys, you know, that's really where you make the money. And that's just where the
So where was it that sort of like your passion lied? Was it within sneakers? Was it within helping people make money? Was it in software developing? What motivated you?
It was just building product. I've been building things all my life.
Yeah.
Hacking, tinkering, all of this sort of stuff. And I just, it's like Splashforce came out of nowhere and it just happened. Like, I really love business and I really love developing and I love reverse engineering, especially. And my passion is just like doing all of those. Like I like doing things that are great, right? Like building this company, like, you know, it's the honor and privilege of my life to be able to do what I did. It's so much. I think so fondly of it. And I just love building products and and the best parts is like, I remember the first ever time someone got like 50 pairs of Splashforce. It was this Swedish kid. And that's really what made SF blow up actually. He posted this picture and he had like 50 boxes on his like decking. And everyone was like, what the fuck, this bot works? That was it, game over. Like
so like in terms of like peak sales and like sort of what did you get like revenue levels, like how did Splashforce do?
So in the end, I think we had around 10,000 customers, which I think was extremely high. A couple thousand there maybe shouldn't have been there. There was a lot of like key duplication stuff in the early days. And I think that was all carried over and whatnot. You know, and there's a lot of other bots that have a lot more copies than that. We kind of restrict on that. And we were doing our peak $1 million rev a year. Profit margins are quite good in the industry. I'm sure everyone would be willing to admit that. But yeah, in the early days, we were making like 100 grand a year because in the early days, you couldn't sell 1,000 copies of your bot. That was so unheard of. The first ever bot to do that was Dash. And rightfully so, you know. I think Hunter did it by accident.
Dash was Hunter.
I think Hunter did that by accident. And he was like, fuck it, we ball, right? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And that was fine. But I was always, everyone was terrified. Because to let 1,000 users into your Discord just like that is fucking scary.
Yes, 1,000 people essentially depending on you.
And you have such a visceral connection with your customers as well. Like it's just very difficult to be able to cope with that.
So and you're exposing yourself massively.
And you can hire mods and stuff and whatnot, but there's still 1,000 people that you have to moderate. Even if you have 10 more moderate, it's not a very linear process, right? Because if people start rioting in the chat, you can't just like mute everyone.
All it takes is that one person to drop a bomb and it's like, it literally does. It just sets the whole Discord on fire, doesn't it? Especially in sneaker Twitter. Like as soon as someone's got the balls to drop that one piece of hate, everyone jumps on it.
And you know, and then it becomes a witch hunt, essentially. And so, you know, so early days revenues were low. I mean, low. This sounds stupid, right? Comparative to the highs, they were low. We were doing like 100K for like a couple of years, which was for me unfathomable money. Like,
well, especially with your background.
Like my dad's a postman. You know, he doesn't make that much money, and from the beginning, from where it came from, if it was just so unreal, just to be able to go from like thinking that I was never going to be more than someone that stacked shelves in Morrison's to be able to having a software company that at its peak had like, you know, 10 people working for it. It was just so unbelievable.
And so like, how long did it take you to get it to scale it to 10 people? Was that?
I guess like 3-4 years.
3-4 years.
Yeah. Kind of depends. In the end, there was like a lot more people. Like there was like other developers like me, Brian, Liam, Charlotte. Because before then you had like mods, like someone like doing like finance, and then you had like people who were directly doing support tickets. That was mainly like billing and stuff.
It's not quite interesting actually. I've not spoken to you about this, but did you ever get anyone come and try and buy you out?
Yeah, I got off for a short while ago who wanted to buy the entire ramp like $1 million, but I would never do it.
Why? Just because you're baby? Just
disservice and disrespect. People, I wouldn't want someone to do like this. Is my child. This is the only thing I've ever worked on, and it wouldn't sit right with me. I think for the majority of developers, they would never sell their company, even if they got offered. It's just so, they said no.
At the end of the day, you've got emotional connection with that business, haven't you? You've rode the highs and lows of it. Like,
and I couldn't just have someone be like, I don't know, turn into something stupid.
So in terms of like, you've built one of the most successful sneaker bots of all time. Have you ever resold sneakers?
You know what, like 5 pairs?
I think it's absolutely crazy to think about.
Maybe more. I mean, in the beginning, I started writing like the modification to the Soul Martyr script initially in the beginning to like help me resell because I didn't think of making a bot. That seems so like outrageous to do. I was just the guy like trying to resell. So like, I think I got the first ever pair of shoes I got was like grey gum 750s, then brown gum 750s. No, not belugas. Like on from there, right? Then I made the software and it just became fucking impossible resell, and it became impossible to buy at the time of a drop because you had like so many people in the chat running. In the beginning, you had to like find like the site key, the client ID, all of this bullshit, right? Or whatever. And so it was just like so impossible, and you just couldn't do it. Later on, as I got more like adept at doing the whole like thing, I ran slots for people, but reselling is so disinteresting because having 1,000 pairs show up, catalog, sell, ship, so time consuming. That's a full-time job in itself.
On top of what you were doing, it's not feasible.
And that wasn't really interesting. I just wasn't interested, right? Like it's so much extra things to think about and everything that's already ticking on in your head. I just wasn't bothered.
Makes sense. So in terms of like entrepreneurship and sort of where do you see yourself going in the future? Do you want to start other companies? Like what's your plans?
Well, like my dream is like changing the world. That's all I want to do. But changing the world doesn't mean like solving world hunger, as stupid as that sounds. It means creating something like Facebook or
something disruptive.
Google. Something disruptive, But like that could be like changing the way people bank, for example. I really think I have one of those ideas. I really think I can make it happen. But I've learned over the past sort of year or so that I don't know enough. I'm still really young. I'm 23. So I'm, looking at like getting like jobs in that space so I can really see how those businesses function and learn and see what makes a good business, see what makes a bad business. What's a good decision? What's a bad decision? How to real world politics play into it. Because, at the end of the day, I want 1,000 people working for a company that I created. And I don't think you can just do that off the back of like having some sneaker bot. You really need to learn about the industry and how these work and get some real hands-on experience.
So do you think it'd be hard for you to transition into a 9-to-5?
No, I had a 9-to-5 from November to March. That was at a company called Nate.
Okay, what was you doing?
They were a one-click checkout company, but they differed from companies such as Faster Bolt, which you might have seen it online. They were basically like a front-end bot, and they just bought things via like the power of like AI and whatnot. And I came there and like developed software and helped them develop their e-commerce like checkout techniques on like any website in the world sort of thing. But in my opinion, that company was quite mismanaged, and I don't think the executives saw what the end product was going to be. They were trying to solve maybe one of the hardest technical challenges of all time, which was like developing an AI to check out on websites. That's really difficult to do. And I think the CEO thought they were building some like consumer social shopping app, which was ridiculous. When they were trying to solve this problem, they had like 3 engineers on like the automation team. When a company that raised like $40 million, 3 engineers, and there was like more product managers than there were engineers, which was just so out of this world. So I saw the writing on the wall, and I was like, "This is stupid."
So
and left.
I was going to say. So did you leave?
I quit.
So what have you been doing since?
Nothing. Thinking of ideas, like learning. I really like honing on like my software engineering skills, because if I was to get like a job to like work in a startup or somewhere, I'm going to be able to solve like bullshit like leak code stuff and whatnot. So I've been finding that reading a lot of like software engineering books and whatnot. Staying up to date in like the sneaker space, I always do that. I probably will do for the rest of my life and whatnot. And just kind of been taking some time off. This is probably the first time in my life that I've really had like time. Just been like thinking about a lot in my life, what I'm doing.
Able to appreciate it.
Yeah, where I'm going. I'm very blessed to be able to live where I live in London. I have an amazing view. I feel like amazing friends I'm able to hang out with, and being able to just have like freedom to be able to do that and not having to worry about like, oh my God, is shit going to work the next release?
And I guess this is something that like from growing up, you never anticipated would be possible. Like you'd see yourself in a position where you're in these circles, you've got this apartment, you've got this freedom to sort of not have to work. Like it's a luxury at the end of the day. And it probably wasn't something that ever even crossed your mind, was it?
No, never. I really didn't know where I was going to end up. Well, the day that I got kicked out of school and I was laying on my bed, I was like, this is game over. And it really, not even being dramatic, I really just thought it was the end of the world. I was like, fuck. I was like, I'm going to end up in fucking Woolworths. This is like realistic. It's like nothing wrong with working retail, but I have dreamed since I was a child of just wanting to do something more. And I always had this joke with like these friends that I had growing up that like I was going to be a billionaire and one I was going to own an island, and everyone was like, shut the fuck up, you idiot. Right. And now like it doesn't seem out of reach. It doesn't, when at that age it seemed impossible, but now like the chances of it happening are so unbelievably low, but it's not zero. And I know that, and I can see that. And I like know how someone is able to do that now, which I think is so unreal. And it was,
and you've climbed the ladder to an extent already, haven't you? Like you can see like there's sort of a roadmap in front of you, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm really privileged to be able to have done that, to be able to where I come from. And that roadmap is there and you're able to see. And I think it's really cool. And I tell everyone that I can get the chance to, especially like, you know, when like someone asks how you're able to do that, like I love to be able to tell my story and that, so hopefully like other people can be like, oh, like it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's inspiring. So I'm guessing, well, obviously we know you made like a lot of money at a very young age. How did you find that? Was it overwhelming? Like what happened? How did you behave? In
the first iteration of Splashforce, I spent every single penny.
Right.
I grew up with no financial literacy.
Yeah.
Nothing. There was no financial education. I didn't really know how to handle my money, handle my taxes and whatnot. Yeah, so I spent it all. Clothes and whatnot. Having like no money, like growing up with nothing, like absolutely like don't get me wrong, like, you know, I sold clothes, I had a bed, I had food and water, I had a PC, you know, I got my phone at like 16, 17.
Yeah.
That's all fine. Like I wasn't like impoverished and malnourished, but like, you know, it was just different.
So in terms of like now, do you feel like you've matured? Like what's your perspective on it now?
Absolutely. And maybe going back to the previous question, like in the second iteration of Splashforce, like I was mentioning earlier, after that like decline stopped.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my money's like invested.
Yeah.
And I have it and I'm able to live a lifestyle. I'm not too stupid with it most of the time and whatnot. And you know, my lifestyle is nice. I'm comfortable. I'm able to go to nice restaurants and maybe like occasionally like go to the club and whatnot. Yeah. It's just, it's nice. I enjoy it.
So what have you done with like the money to enjoy yourself? Like you've always done some traveling, haven't you? So you lived in New York, didn't you, for a spell?
Yeah, 19, I ran off to New York with Zerus, and
I remember seeing it all over Sneak Twitter.
Yeah, I was living with Zerus for a short while, and I went out to go see Ben, the owner of Shoeplex, which is like one of the largest cook groups I think ever.
Yeah.
That was super cool.
So have you been traveling since then?
Yeah, I've seen like a lot of, I've seen like most of the US, I think at this point. Like we were going everywhere and anywhere, like all of Europe. I've been able to go everywhere and I've been able to have these amazing experiences. And I started hanging out with like Bobby Misner in December. Yeah. And I was able to go to South Africa and then Monaco together in.
How's Monaco?
Yeah, unreal. That I think was the last time that I really felt sort of like alive and I felt that I was experiencing something new. Mm-hmm. I've been watching F1 since I was a child. Yeah. Like some of my earliest memories are like eating Sunday dinner on a tea towel on the carpet, watching like the F1 and me turning around to my dad being like, who's the best one off driver ever? And he was like Michael Schumacher, right? And seeing like Kobayashi, Reineken, Hamilton when he first started, Alonso, all these drivers going crazy. And then to be, and then when the Monaco race is on, seeing all of these people like on the balconies and the windows, as you come out of the chicane and they'll come on this and you're like, what the, like who are these people? Who owns this? Who does this? And I was able to be on one of those balconies.
Yep,
and being able to sit there and watch Charles Leclerc come through the tunnel and then go to the balcony and see him leave the tunnel. I felt like a child. It was so unreal. And that's, you know, the privilege of being able to do that makes you feel like a child. And it makes, weirdly, like when I saw that, everything just seemed worth it. I was like giddy at the fact, right? I just felt like a child. It was unreal and so unbelievable.
That's crazy. It's crazy. So like you're at this point now, you're considering going back to a 9 to 5. Is there a bigger picture beyond that? Like, I know you said you want to disrupt the space, but like, how long do you plan on staying in 9 to 5 for? Like, what's your career path?
I mean, I really wanted to expand my knowledge in like the 9 to 5, mainly the startup space. Yeah. Right. I don't really want to go work for like JP Morgan. Yeah. You know, I don't really want to go work at like a trading company and whatnot and write some like really like shoddy like C++ code to do like HFT. I really just want to gain those skills in 9 to 5, and it's as ever long as it takes. Yeah. Right. I don't want to like be there for the rest of my life, but if I need to be there for 5 years to gain the skills in like 2 or 3 startups, then so be it. Yeah. I mean, I'm not rushing. My life's quite comfortable, but you know, there is this ticking clock in me that wants to get on with it and have start some company. Yeah. But again, I currently don't have the idea.
Yeah. That was my next question.
Yeah. I don't have the idea. Yeah. And something I've been thinking about a lot lately is, will lightning strike the same place twice? Okay. Maybe Splashforce was the greatest thing that I will ever do, but I don't think it is, but there's a chance. So every single day, like I'm very curious. I'm wondering how things work and tinkering and looking at these things, but I right now don't have the idea. I mean, maybe tomorrow I could go make some like shitty SaaS company that makes me $5,000 a month, but I don't want to do that. I want to go on such a bigger scale.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to do so much more. Like I want the $1 billion company.
Yeah, yeah. You want the big picture.
Yeah, I want it all.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want I think in War Dogs, the quote is like, I don't want a slice of the pie, I want the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, for sure. And it's sort of like, I feel like a lot of people struggle to have that mentality. Like, where do you think that's come from for you? Has it always been something that's been inside of you?
I think it's like growing up hungry. Yeah. You know, I don't know, like, just to clarify, I wasn't starving, right? But like growing up hungry, like I just always wanted more.
Yeah.
Right? Like I remember even like people at my school were richer than me, but like I'm talking like working class people. They just had like nicer things, right?
Yeah.
I didn't get an iPhone until I was like 16, 17.
Yeah.
And so everyone had like an iPhone like from the beginning of year 7 and I didn't. And I was just like, oh, like I want that.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, what? I always going. I was like, what can I do to get that? My dad couldn't have given it to me. My dad worked so fucking hard throughout his entire life and still does to this day. Yeah. But yeah, I've always just been hungry. My like home life was like very rough growing up for like many years and whatnot. And I don't know. Like I think that's where it comes from, right? It's I just wanting so much more than you have. I don't want to have to be in some fucking council house. Yeah. I don't want to have to send my kids to some shit school. I don't want them to feel like scared or unsafe or feel like we're not going to have enough money for things. I want to be able to take them on vacation. And that deep desire and drive in me allows you to like that's what gets me out of bed in the morning every single morning.
That makes sense. And I feel like I relate to like a lot of that. So in terms of, we've mentioned your dad. Mm-hmm. So you bought your dad a car, didn't you?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
That was quite cool.
That must have been pretty surreal to get to a point where you can do that.
Yeah, I got my dad a E53 during COVID. That was just really cool. You know, my dad was excited. You know, I think my dad felt like a kid then, right? Like, you know, what was my dad driving before? I think he was driving like a Nissan Juke.
It's a big step up.
You know, there's great fuel economy, A to B, but it's not that cool.
Yeah.
And then being able to flick, you know, your E53 into sport and rag it around on a state, I think it's quite cool. I think he knew it was quite cool. And he often would tell me that, like, you know, he'd go into work and everyone would be like, woof, and he felt proud that he was able to tell people, like, oh yeah, my son bought me that car. And that's quite humbling.
That must be like, you must feel so proud of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just being able to like deliver on everything, like being able to give like my dad like a belt. Like my dad works so hard. You know, my dad had like a rough life growing up and whatnot, and just being able to like make things easier as time goes on.
And take the pain points away.
And hopefully like at some point I can retire my dad and my dad can live wherever he wants, do whatever he wants. And that's, you know, one of the goals as well.
So on that was one of my next questions. Like, have you got any key goals that you've set for yourself?
Just to like, it sounds to just like change the world. I have something I realized watching like the Kanye documentary that's on Netflix, especially episode 2, is that Kanye had these stupid dreams. Everyone was like, no, you're not going to be a rapper. No, you're not going to be like, you know, saying to someone you're going to be a rapper, that's so stupid. Tomorrow if I'm like, I'm going to play in the NBA, you're like, that's not possible. And I remember like telling everyone I want to be super rich. Everyone's telling you that's not possible. And I want to accomplish things that no one else is maybe capable of accomplishing. And that's how big the dreams go. And you just work out those steps to get there, you know. And I would, you know, I have, you know, I'm very comfortable in my life and whatnot, but I'm still not there. I'm just edging towards it every single day. I wake up and I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to grow and do all these things. And hopefully one day I'll end it. But if I don't, I won't be disappointed.
Do you have like a structured routine?
No. I suffer really badly from ADHD and whatnot. Okay. My life is as I live my life. And that's something I live by. I live my life my way. I guess, you know, structured routine, I wake up and hop on my computer and like, you know, work. Whatever that is that I do on my computer, and then maybe go out like for a drink in the evening and whatnot. But no, I don't believe in the bullshit of like wake up at 5 a.m, go for a cold shower, go read the Bible. Meditate. It's all bullshit, right? Just do what works for you. And that's what I do every day.
Makes sense. Splashforce, do you see a future?
Currently, no. I think that if the market changes, maybe, but I just think sort of reselling is over in its current era. I just don't think there's much left to be made on it. You know, if you enter a raffle for a shoe, for example, and you win, cool, sell that shoe. But I don't think it's worth the investment of botting if you have to invest, like I said earlier, like $1,000 to make a couple hundred. You're losing money every time. And I don't think like the fucking serotonin of seeing the webhook pop up and dinging your brain is enough to justify that cost.
And back in the day, that was it. Like getting through the, like, even like right at the very start, whether you were bypassing the queue, whatever, you were getting that checkout page. Like as soon, it was like a drug. You were hooked straight away. I was hooked straight away.
You were gassed.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
would scream.
Yeah.
Like,
you knew how much money you were making on every single pair, and it was just like, this is surreal. Like we all got into it like at such a young age, and it's like, it sort of, I think it like did a favor for everyone in the community in terms of like opening your eyes to what's possible. Like it distracted us from the constraints of like your Morrison's shelf stacking.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not for me. Never.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was just so much potential there at all times, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like back in the day, what does a fucking Beluga was going for? 220 USD. I think it went for like $1,500 or something.
Yeah, so I was selling Belugas, like I remember selling like bay sizes for like at least 900 quid a pair. Like
yeah, right? And like if the market was like that today and you got 2 pairs, fucking sick, right?
Yeah.
But now you're making like £20 on the Yeezys. I think there's like all black Yeezys that recently came out and the all white one, like Iraq retail.
Yeah.
There's no margins.
Yeah.
So supposedly what could have been one of the biggest releases of the year, which would have been the biggest release of the year 2 years ago.
For sure.
There's no money there.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, you know, I developed Splashforce with the intent of like customers trying to make money with that.
Yep.
Right. But there's no money to be made. Why do I continue developing it? It's for me, there isn't, with the current state of the market, it's not there.
Why do you think the market's got to the point that it has?
I think people just don't give a fuck about shoes. I don't think people could care about fashion or what's on your feet or who made it.
Yep.
Kanye in 2016 started that with the Yeezy, which was kind of like really innovative at the time. There was not a shoe that looked like a pirate black or a turtle dove. No. They were so polarizing. I remember like walking through like the city center and be like, oh, shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like they were all neck breakers.
Yeah.
And if you saw someone that was like, holy fuck, that guy's got pretty
exactly.
Yeezys.
Yeah. If it's like that guy's got Yeezy on, it's a statement.
And when was the last time that you walked through like Manchester city center and you saw some crazy fucking shoes that broke your neck as you saw them walk past?
Not happened.
I can't remember the last time I ever saw someone do that. You know, occasionally I might see some Travis Fragment
For me,
ones.
it's a pair like them.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate where they've come from and like I remember the release.
Yeah, so do I. And that was...
People coming new to the game probably don't really appreciate that and feel the same way.
What released really in the past like 2 years is like a net breaker, right? I think you have like Travis Fragment ones, for example.
Yeah.
Even if people were wearing like Travis Mochas, it's a brown one.
Yeah.
Who cares? And I just think that like Kanye, when Yeezy started dying initially at that lull where like they weren't releasing more models, I think maybe they're working out what to do with the brand. And then Virgil came in and snapped everyone up then. There was the 10, there was these big events. Yeah. There was a whole like thing going on, like a parade and a show around these shoes. Vapor Maxes were popping off. And
I remember the Nike, like the 10 release, like, so at the time it was when I was at university, like I was just entering for like me and my girlfriend. My girlfriend literally won every single pair apart from them. So we were going, because they released them like over the course of weekends in different collections. So we were going down to London every weekend just to pick pairs up. And it was like, there's not been an experience like that since.
Those I think it was that week in August into September, some of my fondest memories of sneakers ever.
Yeah.
The way that whole thing was executed was so unbelievably incredible.
It was an experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was a whole experience, and there's never done a sneaker release like it.
Yeah.
No one's done anything since, and that was the only one of its kind.
There's the capacity to do something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that generates so much more hype and people talking about it, and you tell your friends and everyone gets so excited about it. I remember like entering all these raffles, so you could go sit in a lecture with Kim Jones and Virgil, go talk about some fucking shoes. And then I remember everyone... The only reason people were there, I mean, people, I love Kim Jones, I love Virgil, but I still want to hear them talk. But I was there because I wanted a pair of fucking one Chicago off-whites because they were so sick. And this lecture ended and everyone fucking ran to Brick Lane. Because you had to, at the end, you had to get out to the door. You had to get like a wristband and to go run. And I remember running with Cop That Crap, Luke Hackett, all my friends at the time. And we like sprinted like the mile back to like Brick Lane, like running. And I remember sitting there, I was trying these pairs of shoes on right here next to fucking section boys who like pulled up in some like VW Polo and like being asked like, oh, like, how's it fit? I was like true to size like a normal Jordan. And like, there was such a surreal event. Like I think like Pieces of Veal, Michelle Lammy, which is Rick Owens' girlfriend, who are all these events. I mean, like my own like Nike Off-White t-shirt, all this stuff.
So I remember, with my girlfriend at the time, like she like did the activity where it was, you got your own like notebook, you got your own pencil case, whatever. Then you had to go design your own tee and stuff like that. And then when we got back to Brick Lane, like we had like one of the last slots. There was, I think it was in the Prestos. It was in a size 4 maybe, and it was the one pair it was a 3.5. They only had one pair in that size, and they hadn't even had it on stock all day. And she was like, she like put a big act on and was like, because they said to her, you can have a size 11, and she was like, no, I want personal. They brought this one pair out, and then we sold it for like the next day, like what was retail, like just over 100 quid. Like we sold it for like 1,600 quid the next day. Like it was just absolutely insane.
I found crazy, I got 3 pairs of Chicago 1 Off whites. I remember selling them for £900.
If you would have held them,
yeah, you know, you'd be a millionaire, wouldn't you? It's like if you would have bought Modular 2s for like 300 quid, you'd be a millionaire.
Yeah.
You know, it's all.
It was actually like, it was, at that time, it was, the whole space was exciting.
Yeah,
like
everything was thrilling, it was new, it was fresh. And it's like now, I just think the way that fashion and logo mania has decreased over the period of time, I just think it's just so, people just don't care. I don't care. And everyone I know that I talk to, I can't remember the last time someone came to me and was like, oh, have you seen these releasing? Like, I need these. I used to get like DMs like left, right, and center, like asking help, and like I might get like one every couple of months of like a friend being like, can you help me get these? I think like New Balance 550s are way more popping than any fucking Yeezy or Jordan that's came out. Everyone's asking for a pair of like 550s, whether it's like the Teenage Conversations or the ALDs 550s, they're all there. Yeah, you know, that's a fucking New Balance.
Do you think that like the next brand to sort of replicate what Nike did, do you think it'll come from Nike or Adidas, or do you think it'll be a challenger? Do you think if it gets, so let's say that sort of hype is replicated, do you think that sort of like the resale and everything will still be there? Because like obviously these companies have shifted away from us being able to sneak bot it, and it may go to raffles. Like, do you think that sort of that effect of us not controlling the market as much would have a big impact on it?
I think the myth of sneaker resellers controlling the market is absolutely a joke. It's a joke.
Why is that?
If sneaker resellers get every single pair, the price of the shoe goes lower, because what you need to do is you need to have a bunch of consumers that buy up all the shoes, like all the normal shoes, and you need those to go. And then when resellers have less, and the demand is high, the price goes up. It's like a simple economic supply demand curve, right? But when the supply is so high through resellers, and like the demand is like low, the price tanks, right? I've seen it so many times. Yeah, it's like StockX undercutting, right? It just takes the price back to like retail. And I think that's why prices at retail a lot of the times as well. I just don't think, when it's like the meme, we control the market. I actually don't think it exists. And I think it actually lowers prices because more competition in the market creates fair play, which brings the price back down.
And we've seen it even like with us, not necessarily like sneaker related, like for ages, like Disney was pretty low key, Disney items. As soon as sneaker Twitter got onto Disney, done. Profits
there's there's like the meme with like the Grim Reaper and all the doors and stuff, and like sneakers, like trading cards, whatever like Pokemon and whatnot, all of that. Yeah, like Disney.
And I think that's because like everyone, like especially who came from like our era, got accustomed to making 500 and above on a pair of Yeezys.
You have to remember how many Yeezys there were.
Yeah.
Pirate Blacks, it was like 10k pairs of Pirate Blacks, like no more, no less. Like now, like the average release is like 50k. And that makes sense because as a brand, why wouldn't you release 50,000 pairs of shoes if someone doesn't want to buy them? Yeah.
Do you remember on this topic, because I want to lead to here, do you remember what the stock was on semi-frozen yellows? The first
6,000 pairs.
So yeah, super low. So I remember that was Adidas confirmed release, wasn't it? So I had everyone at university in my flat, like spoofed all the location to
There was a splash page on that one.
Yeah.
I remember selling carts. Carts will go, oh, that's something we haven't touched on as well, is carts.
We'll do that.
That was the whole, different aspect of the industry. We were selling carts for like, $1,500 fucking dollars.
Fucking hell. $1,500.
$1,500. People were eating them up on US.
I remember One Stop Cop, they opened up a carts platform at one point, and I think it only survived for like a couple of months maybe. Yeah. But that was like because carts were huge at one point.
The timeline, Cartwheel, Yeezy Mafia carts, Yeezy Lab carts, Splashforce had its own cart platform at one point. Ryan's Cart Chef platform as well. Sold on all of them, I think, except for like Yeezy Lab. That was unreal.
Yeah.
I have not thought about that in years. It's about carts and what carts were able to do.
So let's say, right, carts, were you doing them personally? So let's say, so when you run, obviously you're doing Splashforce, whatever, was you having someone run it for you or was you doing them yourself?
Well, I would basically have like my own like custom. It's not custom version of the bot, it's just the bot that has the code to push a cart to my platform. Okay. So it's like a little script.
And then like what sort of like, what were you getting out of that in terms of revenues?
Hundreds of thousands.
Fuck.
There was that like triple release or some bullshit the blue and grey for 350 V2s, like the semi-ice, whatever they were called.
Blue tints.
Yeah, blue tints. And there was like two others that released on the same day. I remember like I just like gave my friends like the script to like run for that drop, and I came home, there was like 100 grand on the table.
Fuck
yeah. Because like people ate them up, especially because I remember initially carts, you had to like go like DM over Twitter. Yes, the person might not pay you. Yeah. I think we had the first ever cart website called Cartwheel, and this guy called Pizza, that was his Discord name, made it. And we were just like destroying it because it was so easy because you just sign up and you just pay with Stripe and like your card, and then you have the cart there, and then like if you don't have it, you just like submit a ticket for a refund, and it was fine. But back in the day when we had like so many exploits, you could just generate a cart. I think at one point I had an exploit where I could pre-cart early
on Adidas.
On Adidas, yeah. This back when they removed timer and stuff, so like you could just like have it in your cart forever. I pre-generated all these baskets, and I uploaded them to the site early, and we modified the site so that they would go live on the drop. And I would just I must generate like 100,000 carts and 100,000 accounts, and I would just like bleed them in over the course of a drop, and like I didn't have to worry about that. I set that up days before. And my partner Brian would just like hit F5, which is like the script to run it on Python idle. And just go. Clock was ticking.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And that was crazy.
Glory days.
I think 100 grand. So that's 50 for me, right? So it was split 2 ways between me and my partner at the time. So we made like 100K, which was
in the space of what? In like a few hours.
Hour. Like hour, 2 hours.
100 grand an hour.
Yeah. That's for the reasons where there was tons of stock and people wanted them. You were shifting cars 100 because as well we like had a script to lower the price of the car the longer the drop went on because people like there was like so many like economic pieces involved. At the start of the drop, people would pay like over the amount they should have paid. So you could price a car like $200, you sell like 1,000. Like that was just possible. And as the drop tailed off, you just like drop it to $5 and hope, because if you remember, like it used to be really difficult to check out because you would loop because the pair would actually be out of stock.
Because there was the sock jig, wasn't there?
Yeah, but the pair would like be out of stock, so you couldn't check it out. They just still appeared in your cart. Yeah, and those were the days. It was like the money was like different at that point in time. That was so crazy.
It must be like pretty like surreal. Like no, it must be pretty crazy. Like reflecting back on that now for you.
Yeah, those were some of my fondest days because I was just sitting in Discord with friends, like 18, 19.
You say they were your fondest days?
Yeah, because like you're just sitting in Discord with your friends, and it was never about the money.
Yeah,
it was just about having fun.
Yeah.
The money was like tertiary essentially. It was just fun. Yeah. Like I remember we were just like screaming in Discord, being idiots. Yeah. Right, and like I was very lucky. Like if I ate, my friends were eating. So like, my friends all had access to the script. I think I made a website at one point where you could press generate and it'll just give you an Adidas account with a cart in. And like so then they would be able to sell that to all of their friends. Like all my friends were able to make like thousands of dollars at the same time. Yeah. And we were just having so much fun.
That must feel good as well though, knowing that you help your friends out.
Yeah. I mean, like we still talk these are dudes I met on Discord when I was 16. Yeah. From the Adidas ATC server. Yeah. And we talk like, every week.
Were these people that you knew before the Sneak Twit scene? So your friends like from school or just online?
No. These were all online friends. I mean, I guess not to like to massive level. I really had many friends at that point in time because I was just in my bedroom all day, every day. Didn't have like friends from school really. Knocking about, so it was just these are the dudes online. These are like my family, like my brothers. We shared such like a intense like brotherhood in our group because every minute of every day we were always in this Discord server, just trying to like work out some like stupid exploit and whatnot. Like I think a good example is there was this guy called Al, and Al's really really smart. I think he's a banker now. I've not spoken to him to a long time, but Al's a fucking idiot. Like he's so just like dim when it comes to like existing, he's very in the clouds and just doesn't know what's going on. and he just like changed the URL or something one time, and he like the Yeezy added to cart without the HMAC, which he like needed to add to cart.
Wait, who's this? You say
Al London.
I know who he is.
Yeah,
no, me and him are good friends.
Yeah, LGN.
He messaged me like probably like a couple of weeks ago. Because he did an internship in Manchester last summer. I think it's a private equity firm.
Yeah. And he's like working in that scene. And
so I remember when Al found that in One Stop Corp, like he was just posting
printing
success,
cards,
and everyone was going mad saying show us, and he just wouldn't do anything. Like
and Al shared it with us, and really. I've not spoken to him in so long. Yeah, but he's very just like, you know, away with the clouds. Like he doesn't know what's going on at any point in time. But you know, super funny guy, super cool guy. Was a really good friend for a long time. And he just like shared it. So I just like wrote the scripts. Yeah, made it happen, and then we all ate.
So this is absolutely baffling me now, thinking it's gone full circle with you and Al as well. Like the space was like so small at that point in time where like everyone pretty much knew everyone. Even if it's like interconnected, it was like one step away.
Yeah, there was only like a few like players in the game, right? That might have been 100 people. But realistically, when you compare that to the amount of people that like exist in the space, it's not a lot. There might be 100 people who like knew exactly what they were doing. Yeah, and then the rest were like, you know, just everyone else. Yeah, and everyone's especially in the UK. The UK is so small. Yeah, everyone just knows people.
That's actually wild. That is actually baffling. So if we go to like the bot market now, so what's like your current standpoint on that? Like, where do you see it going?
I basically think it's over. You know, people still going to have success with Yeezy Supply. People are still going to get lucky. They might get 10 pairs and whatnot. Again, I just don't think the investment's worth it. If you're making like $20 a pair and you get 10 pairs, you make $200. Was that really worth the 3 hours you spent plus packaging, shipping, selling, right? Wouldn't you just make more money having a job? Yeah. And at that time, I don't really consider that to even be side income, because what's the opportunity cost of those 4 hours that you spend doing that? On like you'd be out with friends, you'd be socializing and whatnot, you know. And if you need the money you want to do, you do it again. But like for the majority of people, I don't think it's enough. Yeah. Just for the time investment, the learning curve, all of this, I just think that is over in itself. Yep. You know, Cyber, you know, which was like, you know, the most prolific, most expensive bot at the time, you know, in the general bot market. It was like what, $6,000 at one point? Yeah. I think I looked on Botbroker the other day and it was worth like $350.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane what's happened.
But that just means like no one cares. Yeah. That means like the bot doesn't cook enough, but like that's still like still like top 3 most expensive bot on the platform. It's just still like no one's bothered because it's so much effort and so much time and so many resources. Yeah. Well then I think the eventuality is obvious. It was over. Yeah. And it's not until we come full circle again and we see resell and first come, first serve. Because at some time, hype is going to fall off for the brands. They're going to need to generate, and there's only one way to do it. Yep. And that's happened since the Jordan 1 in 1984 and onwards through that. And the hype releases through the 90s, the early 2000s, the resurgence of Kanye in like 2016, Virgil. But who's going to do that? I can't give
that's
you that.
That's what we're all waiting on, release in the industry.
But, you know, it's not Drake. Drake's not going to do it. It's definitely not Travis. Yeah. Like, people care about Travis's shoes, but it's not like, oh my, who's queuing? Yeah. You know, those lines going around the corner. I'm not sure if we'll ever see that again. I just don't see too much of a future for that. But again, anything can happen. You know, it's just, I can't predict the future. I don't think anyone here can.
I hope it does in a sense, because I hope people like get the same experience that we had.
Yeah. Me and my friends were talking about this a few months ago. I think it was just one of those you had to be there moments, right? Yeah, you know, your parents always tell you about a certain time something happened and that moment never happened again. Yeah. In life. And yeah, I think it was just you had to be there to really experience it. I just don't think that hype, that evolution, and the way social media was really beginning to become like a massive, massive thing. Because even in 2016, right, you're probably still using Facebook. Yeah. I mean, that's how most people were selling pairs. Literally, right? And like no one uses Facebook anymore and stuff like that. But like social media pops people's lives so much now. Like I just think people care less because it's so in your face at all times. Yeah. But I have a feeling it's like a circular trend. Yeah. So maybe in 10 years we'll see something, but that circle might take another 30 to complete. But I don't rule it out.
Yeah, get it. So on a more like, we'll take it away from sort of reselling, go more to lifestyle. How are you living in London right now? What's your hobbies? What are you doing?
I live in a very nice skyrise apartment in Canary Wharf, which is super good. You know, every single day I'm spending my time like working, like writing software, learning, keeping up to date with that. trying to find a wife, as we all do. I think my lifestyle is quite tame and boring.
Yeah.
I prefer to not do anything for ages and go on like some stupid trip, like Monaco, for example, South Africa.
Sort of making this significant memories.
Yeah. Cause like, and I still eat in like nice restaurants and stuff, but it's like not an everyday occurrence. I'm not really like a champagne bottle popper in a club, for example. But yeah, I think it's a very tame lifestyle. I really enjoy just like the social aspect of it. I get to hang out with friends. I get to be like mentally free. I'm not chained by the fucking bar. I don't have to leave the club at like 2 a.m. because something broke and I have to go fix it now.
Yeah. Is everyone sort of like in your friendship circle like on the same level as you?
No.
Okay.
That's something I think I've struggled with a bit. It is hard to surround people this age that like you really like, are on the same level. But it's not like a barrier to anything. Like all my friends have like jobs that pay well enough that we can go to a bar.
Yeah.
It's not like we're trying to spend like 10K on a bottle, but it's like, it's just a London bar, right? It's still, you have to pay money for things, but no one's struggling.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not like no one has their own company. Everyone just works for someone else, but that's all fine. And it's not, money's like not that big part of my life in that aspect. Because at the end of the day, if let's say one of my friends really did want to go to a restaurant, like you just pay as your friend.
Yeah.
Like it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, like you just do like normal things together,
Do you feel like your friendship group sort of like entrepreneurial? Like, do they want to do anything outside of the 9 to 5, or are they all very just focused on the career ladder?
So I have like a few sets of friends. I have my friends that I met online through sneakers and whatnot, and they are all very entrepreneurial. We all hang out on like Discord and stuff every single day. But my friends that I hang out like, in real life, I guess, less so.
Yeah.
That's I guess because like less exposure and stuff, and I do often like talk about that sort of stuff, but not everyone is interested in running their own business. Some people are very comfortable with just having their own life. Some people just want this certain job that pays this amount of money so that they can have a girlfriend and have a kid. And
do you struggle to understand that thought process?
Yeah, because everyone in my family thinks the same.
Yep. That's something that I can't really comprehend. I struggle to deal with that. And like, for me, it's something like, I never really want to settle. I never want to just have the bog standard 9 to 5. I don't want to live a normal life. We get one go.
Yeah, I get it from like their perspective, but at the same time I don't, because every single day I'm waking up and I'm hungry and I'm wanting to do something.
Yeah.
But it's like having your eyes opened, right? I think something that's quite akin to is, let's say you're 14 and you don't really know about fashion, right? And you were just wearing like that Ralph Lauren polo that your mum bought you.
Yeah.
And you don't know anything about fashion. Might wear from like clothes from like Primark, Zara and whatnot. And that first time that you went and saw Kanye in this fit and you bought these clothes for yourself, there's no going back. You're like enlightened, right? You're like, I could never go back to, wearing like super tight skinny jeans and like some like really like shitty shoes.
Yeah.
Just because like, I just know there's just better options out there. And I think it's the same for that and most people. And I just don't think anything's wrong with that. People who dress like I just mentioned, right? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way people dress. Yeah. I don't look at someone in the street and be like, oh my God, he's not wearing Prada. Like, who cares? But at the same time, like for them, they see someone's about like fit school, but they don't care because they've just never experienced that. And then that comes back to, people wanting more. Comfort is like the mind killer.
Yeah.
You're just comfortable. You're just fine. Just, you live a comfortable life. You're fed, you're watered. You go on holiday occasionally.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But it's not until that you see there's more,
Yep.
It's not until that you go to your like friend's apartment, for example, and look out the view and you see this and you're like, fuck, you're like 23. Like this, like you have this. And then for that person, they might be like, well, like, how do I do this? And then every single day and they wake up and they're enlightened and they see all this. But I think it's fine. That's just the way the world works.
Yeah. There's got to be people with that mindset for other people to be able to prosper as much as they do.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I just think it's one of those aspects of life. And it used to bother me so much. For example, like my family is just very like, it's just normal, I guess the way. Like my sister, like she doesn't give a fuck about making money. My sister's very happy just working her job and going to like work and having her.
I feel like anyone who's in that position, for me, I look at it in a way that they're fortunate to be able to have that mindset and be happy and content with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, because for me, like, I just know that I couldn't be.
It's never enough.
So if you found satisfaction in that, like, good on you.
Yeah, it's just never enough, right?
Yeah.
And it's, for me, I don't think anything ever will be enough, which I'm sure later on down the line will become a larger problem than it is.
Yeah.
Because if you're 45 or 50 and you have so many things and you've done so many accomplishments, you're like, where can I go from here? And I don't think you'll ever find solace just laying on like a sunbed in your garden, you're always trying to go and think. And I like saw that in like my friend's dad, he's like 72 and all he does is work.
Yeah.
Because he can't think of anything else that he'd rather do.
My uncle did that. He retired at just under 50, like multimillionaire. Said he was going to give it in.
No.
Spend like a year gardening, straight back at it.
Yeah.
Like they can't stop. Like I feel like once you've got to that point, like you've got that mindset, like you can't rest.
Yeah, because you're always thinking, what if?
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just work. Life is about working, right? At this point, I think that's one of probably the meanings of life, right? It's like I semi-struggle in the periods where I haven't been doing anything sort of recently. It's like, well, what's my purpose? It's like, I need to work on something. I need to find something to work on. Otherwise, I'm just going to stagnate, not grow, not learn. And it bothers me so much that I'm just like laying on myself, like doom scrolling on TikTok.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
No.
You just need more.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think one last thing I want to get into with you, the piece on your wrist. So I said as soon as you came in, that was like one of my dream watches. Mm-hmm. Like I've always wanted an AP. So like, are you into watches?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I love watches. It's like, I mean, it's like kind of like the stupid staple, right? You get some money. What do you like? Cars and watches.
Yeah.
Cars, watches, and nice holidays.
So why did you go for AP?
2016. It was the beginning of like the Yeezy stuff, and Migos were everywhere. Uzi was everywhere. Kanye was everywhere. Just like all these rappers, everyone just had an iced out Royal Oak.
Yeah.
I was like, that's fucking cool. And it's just like, I don't know. It was just cool. Yeah. And it's, to me, it still is. To me, this watch means everything that I've ever done, to the day that I bought it. And it still does. I would rather lose my home than sell this watch.
Yeah.
For me, this is the trophy of a lifetime's accomplishment.
Yeah.
For me. And it means so much to have this on my wrists, because in the beginning it's impossible, right? What you have on your wrist. Could you ever imagine having
the same? Exactly the same.
Ever having that? And I mean, I fucking hate watch resale. I think it's stupid. I don't think you have to suck someone's dick to be able to buy a watch.
Yeah.
I don't think you should have to suck up to an AD, take him out to dinner, kiss him.
Yeah.
Like I want to I just want to park my £10,000 to buy your Submariner. I want to buy this Daytona. Why have I got to do this stupid stuff?
Schmooze them.
Yeah, why would I schmooze you? I want to like my hard-earned money. I wanted to part with it. Like, this is stupid.
Is that not enough?
No, it's not enough. And then you just have like rich people who just get like 15 watches a week just because they just do the stupid stuff and bought their ED Michelin star dinner.
Yeah.
It used to be the dream of the common man to be able to buy a Rolex. And I think like 30 years ago, that was a very real thing. You save up over the course of time and you buy yourself like a Submariner.
Yeah.
But like now you can't. A Submariner is like 10, 12 grand? And like retail's like 6 or like whatever. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm like very against that. But like all day, every day, I was watching like, my dream watch is like at this point now is like 5711, Aquanaut 2, Skeleton AP, RM69. And I hate Richard Mille.
Why the RM69?
Well, because it's just funny saying like, I want to eat your pussy on your wrist, right? Like you just
Explain it for anyone who's may not know what an RM is.
All right. So the RM69 is just a watch, and you can press a button on the side, and you have 3 bits that rotate, and it just comes up with like random phrases. And I think there's like a stupid combination of phrases, right? And they're all just really sexual. But it's just quite funny.
Yeah.
That just to be able to have
it's
that
just
on your
it's
wrist.
a bit of a fuck you.
Yeah. It's just funny. I think it's quite humorous. But like Richard Mille as a brand, I think it's just quite stupid.
It's anyone who's got money now, that's the go-to for them, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of like, where the bell end is in the club when they were in the Richard Milles. Like, oh yeah, let me buy like a 15,000 bottle of like pound bottle of Dom and like pour it over my Richard Mille. Like I do not care.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
So in terms of that, you said you'll never sell it. What did you buy it for?
So my ex-girlfriend broke up with me. And it was beginning of COVID and the prices were fine. I've been looking at buying one for like months and months and months as my dream watch, and I had like enough money to do it, but parting with that amount of money, I think these are trading at like 40k, 35k or whatnot right now. I bought mine for £3,000 over retail. COVID hit and everyone thought the world was going to end and die. So everyone just sold all of their shit. I think that we're going to go into some like crazy world. So it was just perfect time. I was quite lucky just to get at that time.
Capitalized on opportunity, essentially.
Yeah, but I didn't even realize like the prices had gone down. I just like went on Chrono 24 and I was just like refreshing. I was like, well, okay, this is it. And I just bought it.
We keep it as like, would you want to pass that down to your kids?
Yeah, absolutely. I always did want to get it engraved with like something stupid, so you could like don't sell me. So no one would ever buy it. Which I think is quite funny. But yeah, this is like one of the possessions that's like me. Right. It's my trophy that I get to see every single day of the week.
I think we're probably at like a good point now to sort of round it off. It's been, honestly, like I said from the start, it's been like surreal for me. Like I said to you earlier, I am going to find this Discord account where I'm in your DMs. Like for me, going from purchasing the first, like probably like one of the first releases you bought from Anthony, and then now you being on the podcast, like it's massive. And like I really, really appreciate your time and coming on. It's been great.
Thank you for having me. And I really never thought it would end up like this. Right? I was just trying to make some money.
Yeah, exactly. I don't feel like the scope of the impact you've had is probably beyond what you've ever imagined.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what you had until you had it, right? And then I'm just working it out.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. And yeah, hopefully we can come back in the future, see what you're doing, sort of reflect on this and sort of see where you've got to with your career.
Yeah, pop down.
Yeah. And we'll do it again, and we'll bring up some more stories from sneaker Twitter history. But thank you for tuning in, guys. It's been a great one, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.